Okay, so here we go. The accidental skill of building seven-figure sales funnels. Hello, my name is Rob O'Rourke and welcome to this talk on sales funnels, and in particular, how to build a highly profitable sales funnel for your online business that can bring you a nice steady flow of consistent, well-paying clients. And I know this title might sound a little bit hypish, but I promise this is all quite straightforward and that this is something that you can start working on in your business right away. If you know nothing about sales funnels right now, no worries. This is actually who this talk is for. I'll show you everything at a high level and we'll give you all the different concepts you need to get going. If you do already know something about sales funnels, then perfect. I hope this talk gives you a few new strategies to work with so that you can step things up even more. So let's get into it. What is a sales funnel? It's always good when learning something new to clearly define different terms. And with a sales funnel, it can mean a lot of different things to different people. If you've ever heard of Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels, you might see a sales funnel as this big, dramatic, aggressive push to get people to buy. It's these big, long form sales pages. It's countdown clocks. It's big, dramatic promises. It's a buy now or you're dead type approach. And no offense to Russell Brunson, because I do actually like a lot of his advice, but this is not what we're talking about here. Instead, we're looking at great ways to sell that feel natural, that aren't super high pressure, and that match the type of clients and industries that you are serving. The chances are the people that you want to sell to will not respond well to that aggressive style approach. And the best way to sell a $10,000 deal or a $50,000 deal is very different to how you sell a low price course or info product. Okay, so with that in mind, let's first look at who this is for and what you will need to make this work. So first off, this talk and what we're going to learn today is mainly focused towards online business services. So if you're a designer, SEO, ad expert, you're a copywriter, content marketer, email marketer, whatever it is, anyone who's selling an online service or an offer to a business. And if you are someone who is doing this, if you are running a service related business, then I would say for a sales funnel to work within your business, there's three main requirements that you need to have. And if you tick all three of these different boxes, then building a sales funnel would probably pay off really well for you. And it could be the best next thing that you should be doing for your business right now. So the first requirement, you're already good at whatever it is that you are selling. And this is because a sales funnel is about leveraging all the things that you could be saying and showing people to sell and putting them within a system that can sell for you. So it definitely does help to already have some past projects, some results, some idea of what it is that you're doing and why people buy this. Because these past results and your experience is what you'll use to leverage within your sales funnel. If you haven't actually done anything yet, then you don't really have a whole lot to talk about. So it definitely helps to already be in action when it comes to building a sales funnel. But if you're just getting going, then this still should be valuable for you. It can give you an idea of what to set up a little bit down the line. Then I would say the second requirement for building a sales funnel is you have some source of online followers or potential views. And what this just means is you have a way of getting in front of potential buyers. So this might be social media, but it could also be things like SEO, ads, online marketing, you're going to events, you're doing networking, or even just some cold outreach. Basically, just some ways to consistently get in front of people so that they can start to enter into your sales funnel. Because we could build the best sales funnel ever, and I'm going to give you the best start that I can in this talk. But if no one's using it, then it's not going to matter too much because you just won't be getting results no matter how good it is. So you do need some source of potential buyers to work with. But I do want to just say one thing. You don't need millions of people, tens of thousands of people. If you have a big audience, then okay, great, perfect for you. But if you have a small audience, this can still work really well with just a couple of leads per day or per week. It can still get you huge results. And just as a real case scenario, if you guys are following me on Instagram, you might have seen this, but I recently did this new funnel challenge, and within just 24 days, we did over 116,000 in sales with a brand new sales funnel with not actually that many leads. I had about 35 to 40 qualified leads, and that ended up in 21 sales. So with what I'm going to show you here, you can convert really well, you can sell really well, you can get a lot of deals out of not that many leads if you put this into action in the right way, which is what I want to show you as we get into this. And then the third and final requirement for this to work is you actually want to just sell at a higher level. And I know this might sound like a funny requirement, but there's a little bit of work in setting this up and it takes a little bit of effort, and there's just no point to do so unless you are ready to step things up. So if you're watching this and you do want to massively increase your prices, or you want to take on a lot more work with the sort of clients that you're trying to work with, then this could definitely be a good move. If you're not ready to grow, if you're not ready to jump ahead with your prices or the amount of work that you're doing, then I probably wouldn't do this right now, because again, you got to put in a little bit of work to get the return on this over time. Okay, and then one last thing before we get going, and that's just proof of how I know this works. You might be watching this video and just wondering, this sounds kind of good, but who is this guy? Can I actually trust him? So this is just to show you that I didn't make all of this stuff up in my head. And these aren't some crazy huge numbers, but for me, it's been a huge jump from where I first started, and it's allowed me to live a great life and to do a bunch of cool stuff. So over the last years, 2.1 million in coaching courses and consulting. I've taught over 1,400 students, did just over 500,000 last year alone, which is really cool. And I just did this Instagram challenge that I referenced a few seconds ago, where I met a new funnel, brand new offer, brand new everything, and got it to $116,000 within 24 days, which was a bunch of fun. Plus what I'm selling there, it was a coaching program to help businesses with their sales funnel. So right now I'm working with a bunch of these different designers from Twitter and LinkedIn. And the whole program is basically based around building them brand new sales funnels and getting this going. So this is what I'd love to do. I've used it in my own businesses in the past. So I do this all the time. I see that it works, and I want to show you what's going to work for you too. Okay, so let's start with the main mistake that you're probably making right now. And this is so common. It's in like 90% of freelancing and service businesses out there. And it looks like this. You're doing consistent work to get in front of people. So either you're making content, or you're going to events, or you're doing SEO, whatever it is, you're just getting out there, you're trying to get in front of people, and you are getting some people interested. Now, those people who are interested, you push them to get on a call. You do get some people on a call, and then you close some of those deals with the people that are ready to go, and then you're making some money. So you're probably thinking, yeah, that sounds exactly like how it should be. So what's the actual mistake here? Well, it's what happens to all of those people who didn't book a call with you, or who didn't buy with you straight away. And for most people, the answer is nothing happens. They don't even think about this in the first place. They just focus on the couple of leads that they get and the few sales that they get. Okay, so I want to share with you my big lesson. And I know this, what I'm talking about, the previous approach and then the better approach, because this previous approach is what I used for many years myself. When I first started, I struggled, but then I got very good at selling. So I would just find a new group of potential leads to sell to each week, each month, and I would go hard on selling. I would get in front of a lot of people, get a few of them interested, get a few of those people to buy, and I could get decent projects at decent sizes, and I definitely was making some money. But then one day I was sharing my business progress and my business approach with my buddy Nate, and he just sold his own business for like $7-8 million, really sharp, successful guy. And he said something very interesting. He looked at everything I was doing and he said, since your niche is already quite small, and since you're mostly selling a one-time service, you need to get more business out of every possible person you could be selling to. Right now, you're using way too many leads to get the number of sales that you're getting. And I was a little bit taken back. I was a little bit like, oh, because I thought I was doing really well. This guy says this, and then I start to think about it, and I'm like, he's right, actually. I'm burning through hundreds of leads every month. And to be honest, this is what most freelancing and online services businesses do. They burn through all these different leads to just get one or two sales. And it's a little bit like cutting down a full tree just to get one piece of firewood. It can work, but you're missing out on so much potential. You're being a little bit wasteful with what you could be getting much more money and much more projects out of. So I thought this over, and this led to my core sales funnel strategy. I took this piece of advice from my buddy, and I tried to see what changes I could actually make in my business. So, okay, I need to get more sales from the people I'm already getting in front of, but what does this actually mean? What does it look like? What do I actually change? So I thought this over, and I came up with this fundamental strategy to build all these other things that I'm going to show you on top of. And let me now share this with you. This is kind of like the logic that's the start of all of this. So the way I see it is, as a business, this applies, of course, to you. When you get out there into the real world and you make some noise, you're trying to get in front of potential buyers. So a group of people who at some stage should want the services and the results that you could be able to help them get. But at any one point in time, only a very small percentage of these people are going to be ready to work with you right away. For them to be ready to go right now, it would require that they have an active problem or need in that area right now, that they're ready to invest into this next, that it's a priority for their business, that they actually have the energy and the money to invest, and that they see you as the person to work with. So you need all of these to line up for someone to be ready to go right now. And as much as I love the skill of selling, I'm all about selling, and I definitely believe that selling can be super effective. There is only realistically, looking at reality, a small percentage of people who are ready at any one time to be open to the idea of working with you right now. So this means that you have a choice. You can sell hard today. You can focus on that overall group of people, and you can just sell like crazy, and you can see how many, what's the max amount of people that I can get out of this group today. You can push, you can be aggressive, you can really, really go for it. Or, and this is obviously where we're going with this talk, you can try to build some kind of system to not sell so hard to everyone straight away, but rather to get these people into your system, into your own little kind of ecosystem. And then as people get ready to buy, you then get those people to go ahead and work with you. So you're not going out there and being aggressive selling to everyone. Instead, you're pulling people over from out there into your own system and then picking off people at the different stages and the different times that they're ready to go. Okay, so with all of this in mind, let's get into the first stage, the first sales funnel, and that is selling in the right way to those people who are ready to go. Now, you will already be doing some of this, because if you weren't, you literally would not have any clients. This is the group of people who are ready to go right now. So you've gotten out there into the marketplace, you've made some noise, you've put out some content, you've done some ads, whatever it is, you're getting in front of people, they're saying, hey, yeah, possibly interested in working with you, and they're putting their hand up and they're taking some form of action. Maybe they're booking a call, maybe they're filling out an application, whatever it is. So I don't want to get too much into how to set this up because they're already doing probably some of this. Instead, with this particular sales funnel, I want to focus more on how you close those deals and maybe a better way that you can be doing it. All right, so with this in mind, let's look at how most people sell to this group of people, to these leads who are ready to go. And this is basically, they have a potential lead, they have that potential lead, book a sales call, they get on the sales call, and then they try and close the deal. So maybe some people ask a few questions during the stage where they book the sales call, but for a lot of people, they're doing most of the work, most of the questions, most of the building the sale during the actual sales call. So seems pretty normal because again, this is how most people do it. And it definitely does lead to some sales and some deals. I'm not trying to throw this approach under the bus, but I do think that there is a better way to do things. And let me show you why. And that is because with this approach, this normal kind of sales call approach, you're putting a lot of the heavy lifting, a lot of the pressure and the work on the sales call itself. Because with this normal approach, when you start the sales call, you don't actually know so much about them. Maybe you asked a few questions during the stage where they booked the sales call, or maybe you didn't ask any questions. So this means when the sales call starts, you have to first get into all these different questions. Who are they? What do they do? What's their business? Who do they work with? What's their clients? A lot of different questions. And this is taking up time in the sales call. And then because they don't know about you, you also feel this need to show a lot. You need to present, here's some past clients, here's some past results, here's some projects, here's my portfolio. You have to start to build up your side of things and show why you're capable, why you're an expert, why you're the person that they should be working with. And then also what causes a lot of people even more stress is within the sales call, they also have to create the whole deal. They feel the need to go over the whole deal, all the small details, how it's going to be built, how we're going to do this, how long it's going to take, exact deliverables, exact price, how it's going to be paid, how it's going to be set up, the different software, and all these different things. But what I found, and maybe you can see that I'm expressing this already, is this approach, it just feels wrong because it's leaving very little time on the sales call to do the one thing that's actually going to help you sell the most. And that is to just let the potential client talk about their problems and their goals in detail. And the more you can just have someone talk away about these things, the more info you can get, the better you can sell. And to me, this is why I believe a lot of people struggle to sell. Most of the sales call, most of their time that they can speak to this potential client is just full up with all these other things that, yes, they do have to be there to go around selling, but they aren't the main thing that actually helps to create the sale in the first place. Okay, so then let's get into my approach with sales calls. What I'm trying to do is offload all these different things that people try to cram into their sales call, and I'm trying to do it separate to the sales call, either before or after. And I'll explain the logic here. We can run through each one and I'll show you in detail. Okay, so first off, when they book a call, I'm trying to figure out the basics of their business. I don't want to get into the deeper questions because we'll do that on the actual sales call. I want to avoid talking about the basics as much as possible on the sales call. So when they book a call, I'm going to ask questions that allow me to research their business better. And if you want some examples, just stick around to the end of this presentation. I'll give you what questions to ask. But my main idea there is to understand their situation really, really well, so that when we start the phone call, I can just go over that super fast, and then we can get into the heavier, deeper topics, which is where the sale is really going to be built and where you have the best potential to charge a large amount of money for a really good project that means a lot to the client. Then with the pre-sales section, and this is just a name I have for like what I do to sell things better between when they book a call and we have the call. In this pre-sales section, what I'm doing, again, because I want to avoid doing this on the sales call, is I'm sending them over information in advance that proves who I am and shows the sort of results that I can get. So information about my business, who I've helped, what I've done, sort of results that I've got my client, how meaningful that's been for them, how much that has helped them. So that when we get on the sales call, I don't need to prove myself anymore. It's already done. And this also helps in other ways, because now they're way more likely to trust me, to open up, to share things, to want to work with me in the first place. So I do all my proving and presentation and examples and authority and all expertise, showing all this stuff. I do this before the sales call because I want to focus on the client during that sales call. So once this is all done, we have the actual sales call. I focus on this heavier stuff. I really build up the sale as powerful as possible, just the most potential to do the best project at the best price to really help them, but that I did everything I could on my side as a business and I got paid to do it to help them in the biggest way possible. Now, with actually closing the deal, it's kind of optional for me. If there's time on the sales call to do it and things are going well and we still have a nice margin of time, then we can get into the fine details of the deal, maybe close the deal on the sales call. Perfect. If not though, I'm actually under no pressure, because their problem as a business, if you find the right deep problem, it's not going anywhere. It's not like the next day that problem's gone and they're not going to buy anything. So there's no real pressure there when you do this the right way. You can wait a day or two or the weekend or 3-4 days to then come back later with like, hey, I thought over all of this. Here's what I think you should do. And the clients are going to love it because you've digested all this information, thought it over, you've come back with their best option or options, and they have a lot of faith in what it is that you're presenting to them. So that's it for the first funnel for now. I know I'm moving so fast. If you stick to the end here, I'm going to give you some extra resources on sales training, on the pre-sales template, on questions to ask on your booking form to just make this as easy as possible and get into a little bit more detail with this stage of things. Okay, so the next stage, sales funnel number 2, is the 6-week plan journey. And this is basically for those people who weren't ready to work with you straight away, but they were kind of close. So maybe they're still thinking if they really need this. Maybe they're just looking around at a few other options. Maybe they don't quite trust you enough just yet. Whatever it is, what can you now do to get these people ready to take action? And I found that the sweet spot here is around 6 weeks. This is for someone who is close to buying from you. So they're not someone who straight away got on that call or straight away put in an application, but they're close to buying something from you. 5 or 6 weeks is around the length of time that they think it over, weigh up their options, decide who to work with or if they want to do this in the first place, and then they either do it or they don't do it. So within this 5 to 6 week period, you want to send over very strategic content to the people in your sales funnel to make it as likely as possible that they decide to work with you. Now, how do they get into your sales funnel? I won't be able to cover so much of that within this talk, but it could be a lead magnet, it could be some other way, a newsletter, whatever it is that's getting people onto your email list in the first place, a wait list, whatever it is. So what do you do with these people? They weren't ready to go straight away. What can you do throughout the 6 weeks to get them ready to go? So the way I think about this, first, just is look at it from a strategy point of view. We got 6 weeks. How many emails realistically can we send these people per week? 2 to 3 emails. So that means over 6 weeks, we have around 10, 12, 18 emails, depending on how many you want to send to work with. So for the point of keeping it simple, I'm going to just say 12 emails over the 6 weeks, 2 a week for you to use to get these people who are close to buying over the line and ready to take action with working with you. Now, how I like to do this is I like to make a list of all the reasons that they might not want to work with me or to take action, what might be holding them back, whatever it is, from what I'm selling in the first place. So what are their concerns, their fears, their hesitations? What's some distractions or obligations that might get in the way here? Why might it be hard for them to have their business ready to do this? What might be some other reasons holding them back? Do they trust me enough? Do they know me enough? Do they think I'm good enough? Do they think I'm the right option? And then just anything else that I can think of that might cause resistance to them taking action. Do they have fear of spending money? Do they even understand what it is and how it works? Do they think that it will take too much effort and it just won't be worth putting money and time into this in the first place? So whatever it is, what's the resistance? What's the fear? what is holding them back from taking action. And what you want to do is come up with 20, 30, maybe even 40 main things, a big list. Just think about it for 30 minutes, an hour. What is everything that will be holding your potential clients back from going ahead with working with you across all the different ways that they could view that and all the different points of resistance? And then what you want to do when you have all these different ideas, so just go crazy on the ideas. What you want to do once you have all those ideas is try group them into 12 main themes. So back to what we're trying to do here, it's 12 emails or whatever it is over the 6 weeks. Break it down into themes for the amount of emails that you want to send. In this case, I'm going with 12. So for me, with just an example, using 12, maybe this is how it's going to look like. So trust, do they trust you enough? Clarity, do they understand the process enough? Quality, do they think that the work that they're going to pay for will be good enough? Investment, do they think if they spend the money on this, that it's going to be worth it, that they're going to get a lot more back in return? Effort, do they think that this is going to be simple to do, that it's not going to require tons of work and tons of energy on their side of things? Then maybe past experiences. Have they tried to do this before with someone else and it hasn't gone well, and now they have all this fear and anxiety? Time, if they pay for this today, how long does it take to, one, get completed, and two, to actually get results? And then what sort of results should they expect over time? Risk, how risky is this in general, working with you, doing this in the first place for their business, their reputation, their clients? How risky is it? Context, do they actually even get what the service is? Do they really understand it correctly? Do they know how it works and how it would help them in the first place? And then a few more here, but I'm sure you get the idea. Custom solution, maybe this is something that comes up. Do they think this is actually going to be adjusted to their particular circumstances and situation? Another one is trade-off. Maybe they're looking at other options that are completely different. You know, why spend the money on this when they could spend the money on this completely other thing? And maybe just not taking action. Like maybe they just want to kind of do nothing. Like why should they even do anything? We can get into that as one of the other themes as well. So big picture here, what I'm doing is just, again, looking at all the points of resistance, breaking it down into themes with how many different emails I want to send. And then for each of these are going to become a full email that I'll write to just best address these concerns that they have. So we're spending one email per theme on these different main themes that we've identified from just brainstorming all the different possible things that might be holding them back. And then my final step here is I'm going to go through each email. I'm going to add in everything that I can to help build the sale as well. So this might be proof, case studies, reviews, success screenshots, testimonials, all these different sorts of things that I have. So once that is done, once you've identified all these things that might be holding people back, you've written an email on each one of those, you've added in everything that can help you to sell as well. You're now ready to go set this up. You have it running in the background with whatever way people get on your email list. There's call to actions in there for people to work with you. If they do, perfect. If not, that's okay. We'll move on and we'll look at funnel number 3. Okay, so let's talk about our third stage here, which is the long-term stage, the long-term sales funnel. This is the pool of potential buyers that we're trying to develop and to get ready over time. So for this talk, there's lots of other different types of sales funnels. I want to focus on these main 3 sales funnels because I think this is where you're going to see the most results in your business. That initial sales funnel for people ready to go, the 6-week sales funnel for people who are close that you can get over the line. But now as we get into this long-term sales funnel, things do start to change slightly and the tactics and the strategy start to change as well. So the question kind of becomes, after the initial funnel and after the 6 weeks funnel, the people who are left, what can we do with these people? How can we actually sell to them? What should we do next? Because directly at the start, where we just had these direct call to actions, this didn't work. And then we just done 6 weeks where we sent them, all these different things to remove all the different resistance and to add in everything that we could to get them to take action. And that didn't work. So for this group of people, what do we do? Where do we go from here? So my kind of logic, because I had this issue for a while, initial funnel was going great, 6-week funnel was going great. What do I do with these people? I was trying to figure it out. And I sat down and this is kind of the logic, the strategy I came up with. So I thought about this. If I keep selling really strong to these people, I'm just going to burn them out and lose them because I've just done this for 6 weeks and they won't take action. So I can't do it for another 6 weeks or another 6 months because for sure they're just going to bounce. It's just too much direct trying to sell. The other thing though is if I send them nothing, so if I'm like, okay, I just won't email them and then I'll come back 6 months later, that doesn't work either. They forget who I am. We lose the connection. We lose the momentum. We lose the trust and we just like pop up out of nowhere and we try and sell stuff. So what I found was, okay, I want to check in at least once a week, and I'll get into this in a second. But what I want to be doing is not trying to sell, it's to try and build connection. So at this stage, as we continue from after the 6 weeks funnel, we want to not focus so much on selling. We want to focus on building connection. We want to show up each week and just share parts of our business journey with this group of people. So you want to share your lessons, your wins, your losses, your thoughts, your ideas, what's going on in the business, these sort of things. So you're trying to share you, and I mean you as the business owner, as the business. You're trying to share that with these people who are on your email list. And why this is, and why I think this works so well, is because over a long enough timeline, and these people might be there for months or maybe even years, this is how you can be competitive. This is how you can get people to stick around, to form a connection with you, to want to work with you. And to be honest, I think it's the only real way to do it long term. You just can't be selling all the time, and you can't go silent and just come back later. So the only thing that's really left to do is to be sharing your journey, what you're learning along the way, what you're doing along the way, your wins, your losses, all these sort of things. But you have to do this smart, and you have to do this strategically. This isn't about sharing what you had for breakfast or what you think of the latest Netflix show. This is about sharing you, but the version of you that's hardworking, that's smart, that's a driven business owner. You're out there helping your clients win. And I really think win is the sort of vibe, the sort of theme that you want to be going for with these emails as you progress long term and try and build this connection. You want to be authentic. You want to share those ups and downs for sure, but overall you want to have this winning vibe. The people who are going to be reading your content, reading these emails week in, week out, month after month, they want to see and feel over time that they should be working with you. So they want someone who's sharp, they want someone who's positive, who's got this upward trend, who's working with bigger and better clients, doing bigger and better things. Things are always progressing. That's what they're going to be attracted to. That's the sort of person that they want to be working with. So share you, but share the winning you, the best version of you that they're going to be attracted to. Leave all that other stuff for your buddies or your friends or your family or your therapist, whatever. Keep it sharp, keep it winning. And then just tactically, how does this literally look? I would say 1 to 3 emails per week with whatever lesson or story or point of view that you want to share that week. And then slight little mentions here and there, little links, book a call, fill out an application, no hard push to sell, but put those links in each email for people to take action on. Again, at this stage, you're not doing this aggressive selling or hard selling or really big push to sell. We're just building the connection over time, waiting for people to be ready and to put their hand up when they're ready. So what matters here is you want to be consistent. Each week you're sending out these different lessons, different stories, different points of view, different things from the industry or whatever it is, different wins from your clients, and they can just connect with this, bond with this, and start developing this idea in their mind about working with you at some point, and then when they're ready to go. Okay, finally, what to do next and some free resources. Let's get into it. So look, I don't have a big sales pitch for you. There's no link that I'm going to put up here and click on this and go buy something. But for now, I just want to give you some free resources to get going, to put this into action. To get these free resources, and it's some templates, and I'll cover it more in a few seconds, go to my Instagram page, find any piece of content, comment funnel on that piece of content. I'll DM you a link. You can go from there, or just go to profitableskills.com/funnel and you can sign up there as well. What are you going to get? I'm going to give you a sample pre-sales email example. So just how to pre-sell, what it looks like. I'll give you an example plus a template that you can use for yourself. Also a guide on what questions to ask on your own booking forms, and some free sales training on how to actually sell on your sales calls, plus some extra resources. So you're getting a whole little starter pack here for building your own sales funnels, which is what I want to do. I want to see you putting this into action, getting results, and I'm sure that you do too. So to do it, just go to my Instagram page, comment funnel and any piece of my content, or go to that link, profitableskills.com/funnel, and you can sign up there as well. That is it. Really hope that it helped and that I covered everything in detail. If I missed anything though, if there's anything that you want to know more about, I believe we now have the question and answer stage. Thank you so much for watching. Really hope that it helped.
Hello and welcome to Rob O'Rourke's live Q&A. We're going to talk about sales funnels and all that good stuff. So we have people joining in. I'm going to introduce, just let people know how to interact. There's going to be some new people here, so I'd have to go over it each time. Thank you guys saying hello. Love the presentation. Hello from Canada. I made it. Sorry for the delay. We had a little bit of tech issues with the camera, but we got it sorted. Cool, guys. You know the drill if you've been in a few of these. If you haven't, use the chat box. You can find the speech bubble at the bottom. You click that, use the chat area to ask a question. Please use how and what questions only, short and sharp questions, not long paragraphs, no why questions. And use the thumbs up emoji to vote on the questions that you want answered first, because there will be a lot of questions and we want to prioritize the ones that want to get answered first. So lots of praise in the chat. Love your presentations. Love it, love it, love it. Hi from California. Hi, Randy. Hi, Gianni. Awesome. Awesome presentation. Thank you, guys. All right. So let's get into it. We only have 20 minutes, so let's do it. Gianni asks, what tools are you using to track your funnels?
Yeah. Hey, guys. What's up? Welcome. Hope you enjoy the speech and it all made sense. So on my side, it's a little bit different because I've transitioned more from running, freelancing style agency to I'm more of a course creator and educator these days. So I use ClickFunnels. Sorry, not ClickFunnels. I use ConvertKit to manage most of my funnels. And then in there, I do a lot of tracking through my tags. So that's a little bit of just my own personal setup. There's lots of different ways to do it. Just really depends on what you're using. So sorry to not give a super detailed answer on the first question, but that does kind of depend on what your setup would be in the first place.
Okay, so the next question from Ale says, what do you recommend if you're just beginning?
Yeah, so I'm just, sorry, I'm after knocking out my audio here. I'm just teaching a group of beginners right now. So beginners in terms of sales funnels, but they already have their own freelancing businesses and agencies, some of them 50K, 100K a month. So what we're using for them is Zapier for the automations. We're using ConvertKit for the emails, and we're using Calendly and Cal.com for booking and the calls. So all quite easy to use. Zapier might feel a little bit intimidating, or maybe ConvertKit, the email system, the first few times. But ChatGPT and stuff will walk you through it really, really easy. And all these software have like guides on their own websites as well. So once you get stuck, just go to ChatGPT, ask it a few questions, or put it into Google, and usually there's a guide breaking down exactly what to do.
Awesome.
Cool.
A reminder, people just joining, put your questions in the chat, how or what questions, and please vote on the questions you want to get answered, because there's a lot of questions going in and it just helps keep things smooth and fast. All right, the next one is, Rob asks, any thoughts and examples on how to best use ManyChat?
Yeah, I use ManyChat a lot. So ManyChat, if you guys don't know, this is one that hooks up really well to Instagram. So if you've ever been on my Instagram, or probably other people's Instagrams, and you comment something below a reel or on their stories, and you get some kind of, hey, what's up? Here's the link type of message, that's more than likely ManyChat. So the big way is, if you're making Instagram content, you just have some kind of call to action. Like, hey, if you want this free thing, comment down below. If you want information on this, comment down below. If you're this type of person, comment down below. And then in ManyChat, you just set up a message that sends them to a link somewhere. So you're trying to get them off the platform, either booking into something, or you're getting their email and then running them through an email sequence. But awesome. ManyChat also really works well on the stories as well. So stories are often underutilized. People will put a direct link, which Instagram really doesn't like, because everyone just straight away leaves the platform. But if you have a comment, XYZ on the story, that sends out some messages, that performs a lot better. And that's actually what I use to promote with my own audience, this exact talk. So it did really well.
Awesome.
Cool.
Maria asks, what are some effective strategies for communicating the value of brand design to clients, especially those who might see it as a non-essential expense?
Yeah. So when you look at these funnels, there's three funnels. The first funnel is where people book in a call straight away. So for the most part, they're already going to be sold on the general idea of this. You're going to have your sales call and kind of show them for their particular situation how it's going to help. The second funnel is where you can start to sell your business in a bigger way. For people who maybe don't quite get it, they're not ready to book a call because they don't get the big idea. So what I like to do with those emails in the second funnel is figure out, like, what are the common objections that come up on your past sales calls? What are people not sure about? What issues do they have, or what do they misunderstand, or anything that's holding them back from investing into the general idea of what it is that you do. So not even necessarily your particular business, but just in general, like, why invest in branding or in whatever service. So you could just brainstorm why you've lost deals in the past or where it's been tricky to get people to invest in this, and then just start making individual emails to tackle each one of those points and just break it down. So you're removing any reason not to buy with you or with the general overall idea. And then you're adding in trust, past results, proof, case studies, those sort of things.
Great, thank you. Anya asks, what do you think of having pricing visible on, let me repeat that. What do you think of having pricing visible to clients on a website versus discussing later on a call?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of just pricing things on the call. I have nothing against it. If your service is streamlined, like you literally just know like this is the price, then it doesn't make sense to put it up there. But if your prices are flexible, then I would try hold off. If you do really want to list prices, maybe have a from price. So, you know, from $5,000 or whatever. But there's a lot of opportunity on the sales call to increase how much you're going to charge someone. So if you have a good sales call, if you know how to sell correctly, and I have free resource on this in the bonuses that you guys get with the summit, a good sales call is going to dive into their problems. How much is it hurting their business? What's it holding them back? Or in what way is it holding them back? What's their goals? How big are their goals? How much value is it to get there? So the whole time through the sales call, you're increasing how much it makes sense to invest in this. So if you have your price on the front end before you even have the sales call, it's kind of locked in. It's now difficult. You're like competing with yourself to increase your prices, which you don't want to do. So I prefer to not have prices on the front end, screen for people who have the potential to spend money on this with my booking form and with some other parts of the sales funnel. And then on the call, just dive into what it makes sense for them to pay, because I want them to feel like the price is based on their situation more than like these are the rates that I just like to charge people.
Great, thank you. Gigi asks, hi Gigi, what buy-in behavior shifts have you noticed in the past year, and what are your predictions for the year ahead?
Yeah, great question. So I live in Poland. I'm Irish, but I live in Poland. So I'm a little bit like isolated in a way that when I walk around here, everything's in Polish. I'm not watching the news and all this, but it is an election year in the States. So I think people start to get a little bit panicky. The economy gets a little bit shaky. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. So I feel like there's sometimes a little bit of fear in like America, because I sell a lot to Americans and Canadians around election year. But I think in general, there's just been a little bit of a cool down after COVID. There's a lot of easy money floating around the place. People were spending quite easy into a lot of different services. There's a lot of government grants and all these sort of things. I think it's gotten a little bit more like back to business, and people are only going to invest if these things have a very clear ROI. So I think when you're selling and in your own sales funnels as well, you need to focus on the deeper reasons that people should invest in things. Like, how does this really matter to their business? How is this really going to get a strong return? How does this really solve big problems that are important, get them to their big goals, these sort of things? I think if you're selling more on the surface level right now, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. There's not like this just spend straight away mentality that there was a few years ago, or that's how it feels to me anyway. I guess you guys can let me know in the chat.
Thank you. Alexia asks, how long did it take you to create a 7-figure sales funnel?
Yeah, it took a while. So I won't go like way back in my story, but I'm not a natural online. I started kind of later in my like 26, 27. And my first few months, and like even before I properly started, I had some other business ideas online. It didn't go so well in the beginning. So all of this took time. Where I started to pick some stuff up was I did web design. So I was building websites for other people, and I wasn't the best designer. So I had to get really good on the business side of things to sell my websites. So really the focus was always on growing their business, improving their business. And as I did this for other businesses, I started to pick up these skills. But I think like if you take this serious and you start to test stuff within just a couple of weeks, definitely within a couple of months, you're going to see a difference. Like if you have no sales funnels right now, even just some basic things here are going to go a long way. Like if someone books a call with you, you have this pre-sale email that I talked about, things like that can actually make a huge difference. And that could just be 1 or 2 days to set that up. So it's not like it works or it's not working. It's more like it ramps up over time. And every little bit that you do is going to add on and just improve the results you're getting all the time.
Thank you.
Cool.
Randy asks, based on your experience, how much has storytelling played a role in making a sales funnel more compelling and relatable potential clients?
Yeah, huge. Yeah, everyone likes stories. I mean, if it's no stories, it's just raw information, and this is really boring. You're going to wear people out pretty fast. So I think you have to definitely use storytelling. There's a lot of people, I'm sure even in the summit, there's people who are really, really good at storytelling, like to teach it. It's not something I usually teach, but I use a lot of it myself. My understanding of like why I use storytelling is we're just hardwired for it. Like humans love stories. It's how we take on information in the best possible way. Like to make it most digestible or understandable, a story is what people respond to the best. You don't want to overuse it either, where like everything's a story. And I did this in the past as a mistake. Like every email was like a story with the same kind of format that led to like, hey, buy this, gets repetitive. So you do want to be careful, of course. But yeah, for the most part, people want to read stories one way or another. It could be a story about you, story about other people. It's just the format that presents information in the best possible way, but you want to not overuse it.
Do you have, this is just a follow-up question for myself, but do you have a certain structure that you use for storytelling in sales funnels?
Yeah, not like I've no like set kind of little formula. I kind of just obviously I want to give away things here that like are valuable in teaching context, but I've written like a lot. Like I've written thousands of emails over the years, so it's kind of at a state where I'm doing it without thinking too much. I kind of work backwards from the point I want to make. So I always, hopefully this makes sense, I always want to have a strong takeaway thought that sticks in someone's head. So I'm like, when they read the story, this like new bit of seeing the world or like this new way of viewing my product or my service will stick in their mind in a really logical way. So it's not like you should spend a lot of money for a website, because that's like totally biased towards what I would want them to think. It's like, if you want a business to do well, it should, people should trust it and see that it's the best. And a website is a really good way to do that. Like, so that would be the thought I start with. And I'm like, okay, how do I package this in a story? And then that's like, I'm working back the way from the point. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm just moving.
Yeah, reverse engineering the point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Anya asks, what are some books or podcasts or resources you'd recommend to help with business/income generation?
Yeah, like a lot of the speakers in here are people I follow and I've learned a lot from. I really like Chris Do's content. I'm sure you guys all know who that is. I'm just trying to think of people who aren't in the summit as well. Along with this, I mean, I just read a lot, to be honest, kind of the classics. Like to me, if a book's well reviewed and it's been around for a few years, I know this is kind of quite a general answer, but I prefer to read like the older stuff that's just proven to stick around. People trust that it works. So I read a lot of older copywriting books, older sales books, and I don't pay so much attention to like the newer stuff, because I think in the last years, and I'm guilty of this too, people put out content just to promote things, or like there's this new thing, I'm going to write a book just to like get people into this thing. So I prefer content that's a little bit older, that was kind of before that sort of time where these were more people made stuff just to get people into other stuff. So the older sales books, the older copywriting books, I've learned so much from those, like just your classic copywriting books. I can name a few if people want, but like Cashvertising.
Yeah, let's go. A couple of tangible ones we can take away.
The big ones, I think Cashvertising. Oh, my mind's going blank because I'm on a call. Hold on 1 second. Scientific Advertising. And then 48 Laws of Power. I know this is like semi-controversial book, but I think it really does pay off to just know how human psychology works. And then Spin Selling. If you're interested in selling, this is a book that like I've read dozens of times. It's pretty technical, but it does break down what to cover in what order to sell most effectively.
Any on storytelling?
Storytelling, not so much actually. No, this isn't, it's something I know how to do, but it's not a thing that I usually teach. I think there's better people out there, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Someone mentioned how to win friends and influence people. Dale Carnegie. Yes, goat. Okay. How actually valuable are lead magnets?
Very valuable. Yeah, because without them, why would people get on your email list in the first place? I mean, you can like, hey, join my newsletter, which does kind of work, but you're going to get a lot more results if there's some very strong reason to give out your email. So if you think of like, let's say the 3 ways people could get on your email list is literally they book a call with you. So you have their email from a direct, like, I'm definitely thinking of working with you. Or you just have something general like, hey, jump on my newsletter, which can work, but it's not too strong. So lead magnets are the third one, and they're going to do the best for people who aren't ready to book a call straight away. So I think it's pretty much essential if you want to be running a proper funnel. But you don't need to make it a huge deal to start with. You can make some really small stuff. Like I was just talking about this with my own students an hour ago, but my first lead magnets were really, really basic. Like these 1-page Google Docs that took like half an hour to put together. Like I wouldn't be proud of them now, but it got me in the game and it got me some emails. So you can start small and just improve on your lead magnets over time.
Yeah. What was the title of the power book again? So someone else can answer that. There was
48 Laws of Power by Robert.
48 Laws of Power. Okay. Emmanuel, this is a little bit of a longer question. Is it best practice to have a short-term funnel, aka your funnel to approach, to sell to those who are not immediately ready to buy? Then when they don't buy, you move them to the long-term funnel. The follow-up question of that, what do you do with those people who don't even engage with your emails at all in funnel 2?
Yeah, sure. So in my mind, there's like 3 general groups of potential buyers. There's people who are signaling that they're pretty much ready to go, like, let's get them on a sales call. Then there's another group of people who are close. They don't want to talk to you, but they are like possibly considering hiring you. So that's who funnel 2 is for. So you're not going to know who those people are. So they're mixed in with the third funnel, which is people who might buy way down the line. And it's kind of hard to separate this two in the front end. It's like, hey, which one of you is ready to kind of go and which one of you is thinking about this in 6 months? No one's really going to give you that information so easily. So you just put the two of them in together, and then you have that funnel 2, which sells pretty hard, but not overly hard for that, first couple of weeks, or maybe it's just 1 week. I have some funnels. It's just 1 week. We sell hard. Then we kind of ease off. Maybe it's a month. Maybe it's whatever length of time. You don't sell hard enough to scare off the funnel number 3 people, but you do sell hard enough that like people who are quite ready to go see what they need to then be ready to go. So that's the idea of those 2 different funnels, but they're kind of mixed in together. So to me, you wouldn't want to just treat everyone like, well, let's just go funnel number 3 straight away and go really light and see who puts their hands up, because maybe you're not showing enough to get those people who are ready to go sooner. So I want to collect the money that's like the lowest hanging apples. I want to do it in order. People who are ready to go now, people who are ready to go in a few weeks. And then these other people, if they're still there, perfect, then I'll sell to them over time. But I'm collecting the money that's quickest to get into my business, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Makes sense. I'll ask, if you have a sales team, what do you think about providing packages versus individual tailored pricing?
I don't really get the question. Sorry. So if you have a sales team with what you're selling, packages versus like your sales team like, wouldn't know how to do it individually, or in what kind of way?
I imagine so. So like a pre-packaged, like that's the price, or you speak to the customer and figure out a price based on their particular needs.
Yeah, good question. I mean, I would probably test this maybe with the sales call. You get them to get all the information, and it depends what you're selling. Because I used to sell websites, so you don't really close the website on the call. They might say, yeah, we're in at this price, but you're not like, okay, let's get your credit card details. You still have to send a proposal. You still have to send a link to join, these sort of things. So if that's the scenario, I would get the salespeople to try create the best price that they can. And then I would look over the deal before we send it. And if it's completely off, then we would have to deal with that. But if it's good to go or whatever, we can send it or slightly adjust it. So that would be my kind of way. Really depends on what you're selling. Like I would kind of need more details there. If you want, maybe hit me up on Instagram and with the finer details of that one, because how big's your sales team? What are you selling? These are all kind of factors. Sorry, I just don't want to give like a quick answer to it more detail.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Alessandra asks, which lead magnet do you recommend to get the best attention possible from our leads?
Yeah, that's another question that's real tricky to answer. It's like, what do you sell? Where are your leads coming from? These sort of things. I think for your first like lead magnet that pulls in a lot of people, a good thing to start with is what's a change in the way that you would like your ideal clients to think, and make a lead magnet that changes how they think to line up with like, okay, now we should definitely invest in this. And then you present to them that like, we're a really good option for this. So, because there's different things you can build a lead magnet around, but changing how people think is probably the most powerful, because if you can just get that thing in their mind where they're like, this earlier example with branding, where they're like, I finally get it. This is what branding is going to do for the business. These are all these problems it solved that we've been stuck with for ages. Okay, I got to invest in branding. Now you're just such good position to get them on the call and start selling your business, your services, all these sort of things. So to me, the best type of lead magnet, hopefully this is answering the question, look at what like one or two adjustments in the way that they can think that you would like to make, and then put that within a lead magnet that, is it a story? Is it a case study? Is it whatever? That going through this content, they're going to be like, whoa, this is a new way to see the world. And now we got to take this step with this sort of service.
Great. Cool. There's time for one more question. You can add in the questions on the event page for Rob to answer after. If we haven't got to your question, I'm just going to scroll up and look at the most voted one for the last question. All right. Okay, similar question. How actually valuable are lead magnets? I think we answered that one already. Valuable.
Or I don't want to take up too much of your time. Maybe.
There are more, but none of them have been upvoted. Everyone's equal.
Sure. Yeah, I hope it makes sense.
There's one from Tian here.
Super fast. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, Mr. Beast's team spend days on the thumbnail and headline to increase engagement. How long do you spend on coming up with your email headlines to increase open rate, and what insights do you have?
Yeah, email subject lines, I don't care about like too much. I use, again, I use ConvertKit, so you can test it. You can do an A/B and you can set the length of time. So you could test like one versus the other. For the most part, like if it's pretty decent, you get kind of the same percentage. And if it absolutely sucks, you'll get less of a percentage. So there's not like some magic great subject line that you spend an hour on and suddenly you get double the open rates. It's kind of like people like your emails, and those group of people pretty much open it as long as it's half decent. So
what about the short versus long? Have you noticed what works better?
Yeah, to me, where I put like the most effort is when you open an email, like in your phone or in your thing, you see like that kind of top section. So those first few paragraphs, that's where I usually put the most effort. And yeah, with the subject line, I'll do my best, but I won't overthink it. Like you could have a great subject line, first few sentences are not that good, people just bounce. So okay. I think I always start with strategy. Like what's the points I want to make in what order that lead to the purpose of this email? And then like, okay, can I add in some stories? Can I add in some points, some real examples? Okay, now how do I make the first few paragraphs to lead into this really well? Okay, what's a good subject line? So I'll work back from my call to action to the points that make that person most likely to do it, to the opening, to the subject line.
And the first two paragraphs, are you referring to the pre-header or actually the content in an email?
Oh, they actually click in. Like, hey guys, what's up? In this email, I want to go over, whatever it is. Like the first 20, 30 seconds of reading your emails, I'm going to make sure that's really dialed in, because they don't read the first part, not going to read the rest.
So you're not talking about the pre-header at all? Like how important do you find that?
Yeah, not too much. I actually don't really care about that too much. Maybe I should do more.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Like everyone else I hear is like, spend time on like the head, the subject, and like the pre-header, like that's the gold. Where you're just like, don't worry about that. Just focus on the first paragraph. So
yeah, because to me, it depends again, like what's the relationship here? If this is like the very first email they've ever gotten from you, then I'll spend more time on it. But after a couple of emails, they either start to like you or they're like, this dude's just always spamming me. So at that stage, it's like if they have good past experience, they'll probably click in. I mean, YouTube, like the Mr. Beast example, it's so competitive. It's like, 20 videos at once that you're competing against. In the inbox, it's a little bit more relationship. So imagine you see your phone and you're best friends with Sarah, and there's like Sarah and you can't see what the text message is. Like, oh, I'm definitely checking this. But then if it's Jeff and you don't like Jeff, you're like, check Jeff later. So I kind of see it like that. It's like relationship building. Yeah.
I'm going to have to wrap it up. I just realized the next session's in a few minutes. I have to go to my test in with the other folk. So guys, I'll see you in the next, the Lunch and Learn for PowerPass holders, which is on how to stand the flock out. We have Jason and Matt joining us, which is you're going to be in for a treat. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next session, which is Austin Church. And yeah, Rob, thank you so much.
Jacob,
man, presentation, and thank you for sharing your
thank you so much, man, for putting it together, because I know this is a ton of work. You're obviously working like crazy to do this for everyone. So, yeah,
took a hot second.
yeah. Well done. It's going really well. Like, it's super impressive. So yeah, well done, and thanks for having me on here.
Thank you, my friend. All right, see you guys in the next one. Bye.